You are inches away from finally enjoying your new pool enclosure. The aluminum is gleaming, the screens are tight, and the water is clear. But your weekend plans are suddenly halted by a county official with a clipboard. While building to the code is the ultimate goal, identifying exactly what the inspector will prioritize allows you to address potential red flags before the appointment is even scheduled. The final inspection is the last hurdle to clear for your certificate of completion, but the physical structural checks aren't the starting line. The starting line is the paperwork. Florida law requires a notice of commencement to be officially recorded with the county clerk for any home improvement project valued over $2,500. If that notice isn't recorded, or if your stamped engineered blueprints aren't physically sitting on the job site when the official arrives, the inspection stops before anyone even looks at the aluminum framing. Passing requires more than just a strong build. It demands that every administrative requirement is satisfied from the moment the permit is pulled. Once the paperwork clears, the physical inspection begins at the ground level. The concrete foundation and exactly how the frame attaches to it forms the anchor for the entire structure. The building code requires the official to verify your anchor type, their spacing, and exactly how deep they are embedded, checking them directly against your approved engineering plans. This cross-section compares anchoring systems. On the left, a standard mechanical screw relies on friction. On the right, blue chemical epoxy bonds the steel rod directly to the concrete and internal rebar. This connection resists the massive uplift forces of a hurricane. Because different substrates require specific fasteners, using the wrong anchor for your particular concrete slab is an automatic failure point, and the most common reason enclosures pull away from the ground during a storm. Moving up from the base, every single aluminum beam, post, and brace is precisely sized to match the design pressures mandated by Florida's regional wind speed maps. Inspectors hunt for components that maintain structural rigidity. Notice the blue K-braces in the corners and the diagonal cable bracing in the walls. If a single structural screw is missing or a tension cable doesn't match the plan, the inspector flags the frame. If the mesh fails during a storm, the enclosure loses its aerodynamic profile. Wind entering the structure creates internal pressure against the remaining panels. If the bracing isn't exactly as the engineer specified, this pressure can cause the entire frame to buckle. These stringent checks verify that the structure can handle the specific atmospheric forces and lateral loads common in high wind regions. From massive structural beams, inspectors zoom all the way down to microscopic details. They check the mesh weave, the screen tension, the spline, and crucially, the metal composition of the fasteners. If the enclosure surrounds a pool, the strict inspection also covers safety regulations under Chapter 515 of the Florida statutes. To act as a legal barrier, the cage must be at least 48 inches high, with no gaps larger than a 4-inch sphere. The doors face the strictest rules. They must be self-closing and self-latching, and the release mechanism must be placed at least 54 inches above the threshold to ensure it stays out of reach of young children. Even a structure engineered for high winds will fail its inspection if a single screw is susceptible to corrosion or a door latch is mounted just slightly too low. This brings us to the final verdict, the definitive checklist inspectors use to grant a certificate of completion. A pass requires stamped blueprints on site, properly embedded anchors, and a secure number 8 equipotential pool bond. Falling short leads to immediate rejection. A failed inspection results in written correction notices, re-inspection fees, and delays that can push your project back by weeks. We utilize an engineering-led approach to both permitting and construction. By using reinforced chemical anchors that function like monolithic concrete, we address these specific failure points before the inspector arrives. Click the link for a free consultation and a 3D visualization of your project. With a 365-day warranty and an engineering-first process, we ensure your enclosure is built to pass inspection and survive the weather on the very first try.